It is Magic 1075, 97.5, the real sound of Atlanta. Jackie Page sitting down at the Girl Talk table. Mr. ATL, So Def Records, very own Jermaine Dupri,
Yeah.
and the king of Freaknik. And two live crews' very own, Luther, Uncle Luke Campbell. How are you guys doing today?
All good. How you?
Doing good.
Good. Excited to have you guys in the studio today because the moment that we have all been waiting for has officially happened.
Yes.
Freaknik, the wildest party never told, dropped today.
Yes.
Yep.
How does it feel to have it out?
Oh, amazing. Accomplished. We got it done. We got it done. We've been talking about it. We got it done.
How
Yeah.
did y'all land on, hey, let's do a documentary on Freaknik? Because it's one of those situations where, you talk about it at picnics, you talk about it with your friends, you cackle about it. But to say like, hey, we're going to tell this story. How did y'all land on that?
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's such a large part of my career. I was, doing a movie and we couldn't get Freaknik in it, and before you know it, it was like we sat down and I was talking with the good folks at Swirl Film, and before you know it, we had that conversation about Freaknik, and
Yeah.
and lo and behold, we just start talking about it and start building on it and say, hey, look, can't do Freaknik without Jermaine, because, I mean, he's the king of Atlanta and his music plays such a integral role in it. And, it was like, okay, this is going to be crazy. And so we just started teasing it,
Yeah.
and before you know it, people just start losing it.
Did you think it was going to have that response when you said like, okay, we're gonna drop this?
I didn't know that people were like. I didn't know.
Because there were a few people filed lawsuits, right? Trying to.
Oh, well, they tried to stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that people was gonna act like that. I had no idea.
Yeah, it was, when you at that moment, no, you don't think about it. But then when you really think about the grand scheme of things, because us as, we produce and we just put our head down and just try to figure out things.
Yeah.
And we don't really we don't think about the backlash. But then when you really backed up and like, oh, man, it was camcorders. There wasn't no such thing as a cell phone, no social media. And these things the average person haven't seen unless you took the camcorder home and it was just your friends. And so before you know it, we kind of realized that, oh, this is a big thing. This is major.
How did y'all get all this footage? And when you were getting the footage, did people know that y'all were going to use this for a documentary, or was it just like, hey, we kind of?
Oh yeah, no. Once Hulu announced this, I had people all in my Twitter just saying messages saying like, I got better footage than anybody. I got the best footage in the world. You need to see my footage. So then we started, like, I had people start hitting them. I hit Nikki and was like, yo, somebody just told me they got it. So she hit the person. And then we just started talking to certain different people who had footage. And we got their footage, and then we kept doing the same thing.
Was there anything?
And I had a ton of footage in my garage.
A ton, you hear that?
Yeah.
Was there anything that y'all got that was just like too like? Because I
A lot
watched
of
it.
it,
It
a lot
wasn't.
of it.
It wasn't as bad as I was anticipating. I was expecting the way that the aunties were acting. I was like, oh gosh, this is no. It wasn't as bad as I was anticipating it to be.
Yeah.
But did you have stuff that was just like, yeah, we not.
Yeah, tons of footage of that. I mean, because we didn't, originally it started off like, okay, all right, we're going to, before we signed on to Hulu, it was like, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to add the risque part of it. But then we really just started thinking about it. It was like, we got to tell a story.
Yeah.
We got to tell a story about these college students. We got to tell a story about, all aspects, the good, the bad, the ugly, and not have that part take away from the actual
And I gotta
entertainment.
say, watching it last night, that's what I appreciated, is that I got the full story, because there were things that I just did not know. So like why it ended up stopping, like the Olympics playing a role. Like I didn't know that was a thing. How it got started, I didn't know that. So I really do appreciate that it was actually telling the true, authentic story, so that we can see it was really about joy and about having fun and not about all the bad side or the bad things that happened. Was there anybody, because y'all had a lot of people, Little John, CeeLo, Rashida that popped up. Was there anybody that you reached out to like, hey, come on, do this? That was just like, I'm all right. I don't want to be a part of this.
No, I mean, from anybody that's like, I guess my peers, they all wanted to be in this because this is their life, and I think I think one thing that people don't understand is this is probably this got to be one of the newest or probably the only modern day hip hop story
Yeah.
that's come out in the last 20 years. And I mean, this is a Southern hip hop story, but I was thinking about this morning. I don't even know if it's a New York hip hop story that's come out in the last 20 years that shows
Right.
parents involved in hip hop
Right.
that makes them want to not show their kids or tell their kids. So this documentary is actually groundbreaking in that perspective because it's the parents that was doing what they was doing and their kids get to actually watch it.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've had any teaching like that in the culture period.
And I like that you say that. It's kind of bridging the gap because
Yeah.
I don't think up until this point there has been anything to bridge that gap. We hear parents and grandparents, quite frankly, talk about like, oh, you know what I was doing when hip hop was like this. Kids are like, yeah, I don't get it. Oh, watch this.
Yeah, and they make
You
it sound so far ago.
Right. And
right?
it wasn't that it wasn't that long ago.
No, well, this wasn't. I'm saying
Yeah.
usually when they talk about it, they make it sound like, oh, we used to be cutting the rug. And they used, you know what I mean? All the language
Yeah.
that they use when they having these conversations. In this documentary, you know, Luke lets everybody know, like, y'all calling it twerking, but it's the same
Booty
thing as
shaking,
booty
baby.
shaking. That's what it is, right?
Exactly.
And I don't think we've had that cultural comparison that you can have with your family, your parents, your aunties, or whoever it is, where y'all both can just sit there and talk and go back
Yeah.
and forth. Because girls is wearing the booty shorts now. They still wearing the bamboo earrings.
Yeah.
And then, every time that the Brunner brothers show us out here, the girls got the feathered hair.
I mean, it definitely shows, like I said, it bridges the gap. It shows, like, a lot of the things that we do now where some of that stuff came from.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't anything new.
You got it from your parents.
We just kind of flipped it around a little
Yeah.
bit. So,
Yeah, it connects the dots. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the most important part about this. And just like you say, it's an educational piece,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because the average young person think Drake invented
started
twerking.
everything.
You know what I'm saying? And that's not the case. And when you look at the doc, and then just like you say, the fashion,
Mm-hmm.
you know, why you dance like you do, you got it from your mama.
yeah. Baby, the mamas was shaking.
You
it.
got
I
it
was
from
like,
your
I'm
mama.
like,
For your mom.
you better do that. ATL, Uncle Luke, JD sitting down at the Girl Talk table. When people watch this documentary, what do you want them to take away from it?
I want them to take away the education. I want them to take away the fact that this is the first time that a Southern story, hip hop cultural story, has been told on this platform ever. Period. In the 50 years of hip hop, and then even in that, like we celebrated 50 years of hip hop, and this story was excluded from that. Like,
It was.
nobody wasn't talking about this. Like, this wasn't a hip hop moment. So
Yeah.
me personally, I want people to understand that this is a true hip hop moment. This is how hip hop in the South came to the rise, especially here in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And you know, I feel the same way because when you really look at this, and when you just go back and tap into your history to know that this is how majority of these artists broke out. You know, you come to Atlanta, you promote your music, you take the music. Folks was taking the music back to wherever they came from, and they were like, this is what I heard in Atlanta doing Freaknik. So, whatever that was, whatever that soundtrack of that actual song or that new artist, you took that back. But then at the end of the day, we just want people to know that, it was a historical experience, for the ages. And, just like JD said, ain't nothing like this ever been done on Southern music, whether it's from the South, period.
Yeah. ATL, check it out. It
Yes.
is out. Hulu right now.
Yes.
Freaknik, the wildest party never told. It's
Yeah.
magic.